I'm quickly going to show you guys how I marinate my chicken breast because I always get this question. This is one chicken breast that I'm using and I've sliced it up very thinly. This is how I measure with the eyes because some of these seasonings I'm using less than a quarter teaspoon, so I cannot give you an exact measurement. I always start off with some salt and some black pepper. And here we have some paprika. Make sure you guys use the seasoning jars that have got holes in them because it's easier to sprinkle all over and then you won't make the mistake that I made over here. And here we have some garlic granules. I also like using onion granules, but I didn't have any today. If you're scared to measure with the eyes, it's okay. Just try it this way that I'm doing. You will get used to it. And here we have some mixed herbs, and then I'm moving on to some Cajun seasoning. I'm also going to add a tiny bit of cayenne pepper. I only add that if I want it to be a little bit spicy, so this is completely optional. And these are the holes that I was talking about. Now, I'm going to do the exact same thing on the other side, but if you want a more subtle flavor, then you can skip this step. The chicken is nicely seasoned, and I'm just going to add the last thing, which is some lemon juice. I'm just going to squeeze that all over. Then I'm going to give everything a good mix with my hands, and then you can let it marinate in the fridge for a couple of hours. Or you can cook straight away in the air fryer or in a pan. Then you can add it to your salad, your sandwich, your wraps, whatever you want. Over 10 million views for this lasagna. You guys definitely deserve a recipe video. I'm going to start off by adding some oil to a pan, and then I'm going to fry my onions until they're slightly brown. Then I'm going to add my minced meat. I'm using lamb. You can use chicken, beef, whatever you like. I'm going to just break it into small pieces and make sure to cook it until it doesn't look pink anymore. Then I'm going to mix in my seasonings as well as 2 teaspoons of tomato puree. I'm going to cook for a couple of minutes until the mixture is dry, then I'm going to add some vegetables. I'm using sweet corn, grated carrots, and some red peppers. If you don't think this belongs in a lasagna, that's fine, you can skip it, but it was in my viral lasagna video, so I'm going to add it in again today. After cooking for 2 or 3 minutes, I'm going to add a jar of bolognese sauce, give it a mix, and then add some water. I'm going to bring it to a boil, then cover with a lid and let it cook on the lowest heat for roughly 20 minutes. After removing the lid, you can reduce the liquid to your liking, but I'm going to keep it this runny consistency. Now for the bechamel, I'm going to add an equal amount of butter and flour. Cook this on medium heat because you don't want it to burn. When you mix the flour and butter together, it should turn into a paste like this, and then you can gradually add your milk. But don't add all of the milk. I'm only using 1 cup first. Reduce the heat to low, then give it a whisk, add your seasonings, and when it turns more creamy like this, you can switch off the heat. Then you can gradually add your cheese. It's up to you if you want it thick and creamy like this, or you can add the remaining half a cup of milk and make it more liquidy. I'm going for the runnier side today. Now I'm going to boil the lasagna sheets. I've added a little bit of olive oil to the water. I've got 15 lasagna sheets, roughly the size of my hand. I'm going to boil them in 2 batches for roughly 6 or 7 minutes. Now let's layer it up. I'm going to add a tiny bit of bolognese to the bottom of the dish so the lasagna sheets don't stick to the bottom. Then I'm going to add 3 lasagna sheets, some bolognese, as well as a tiny bit of the bechamel, which I'm going to spread out with a spoon, and then I'm going to add some mozzarella cheese. Then I'm going to repeat the process. So basically there's 5 layers of lasagna sheets and 4 layers of bolognese. On the top, I'm going to add most of the bechamel, and then I'm going to add the freshly grated cheddar, as well as a little bit of the remaining mozzarella. Then it's going in the oven for roughly 20 minutes until it's slightly golden. Sprinkle some parsley on top and then let it rest for about 10 minutes before cutting into it. Here we have the ingredients and measurements. I've tried my best to use both the metric system and the imperial system. Let's make my popular honey glazed carrots, which got over 2 million views the first time I made them. And one of the reasons may have been because I accidentally called them honey roasted carrots instead of glazed. And people were like, is the roast in the room with us right now? Nevertheless, people still love these. I cut the carrots into strips and then I boiled them for roughly 7 to 10 minutes until they're fork tender. I drained the carrots and then I added butter to the same pan. Once that was melted, I added the carrots back in. I gave them a little stir so they're nicely coated in the butter. Then I added my seasonings. I added some salt, some black pepper, onion granules, and garlic granules. And guys, sorry, I don't use any measurements when I make these. It's quite simple and straightforward to make these, so I don't think you will go wrong. All you have to make sure is that you don't overboil the carrots, and then the seasonings, just sprinkle a little bit on top. Once you've added the seasonings, give the carrots a good stir so they're nicely coated. You only need to cook these for a minute or 2 on medium-high heat before adding the honey. Again, add however much you like, however less you like even. Once that's added, give it another mix and just cook it until the honey and butter has become a bit of a thick mixture. And that's it. You can give it a taste test and adjust the seasonings or honey. Let's meal prep some delicious chicken salads. Just look at how gorgeous and colorful these look. If you guys meal prep, let me know in the comments how long you would leave food in the fridge. I have 4 containers here that I'm using, but I will not be leaving them in the fridge for 4 days. 2 of these are for my husband and 2 of these are for me. I understand that some people do like doing meal prep for the whole week. However, we will not eat food that's been in the fridge for more than 2 or 3 days. Even 3 days is pushing it. When it comes to salads, they would definitely go way too soggy. And any other types of food would just not stay as fresh to my standard. Anyway, this video is quite straightforward. You can see all the ingredients ingredients that I'm adding into the containers. They all include the same thing, except that 2 of them have some cheddar cheese cubes in them, whereas the other 2 are a little bit more of an Italian style with some tomato pasta, some pesto mozzarella cheese balls. I've also added 2 each of these pickled peppers with some cream cheese in them, and they all have a slice of lemon so we can squeeze the juice on top. I don't add any sauce to them until we actually have to eat them, because on the day you have to eat them, you can just choose the sauce that you feel like having that day. This salad here was absolutely gorgeous. The one with the cheddar cheese cubes we left a bit simple because we still were contemplating on what carbs to add to them.